Hi, my name is Shannon Vincent. This is my 19th year with Pinellas County Schools, and I currently teach English 2 and 11th grade intensive reading. We need our union. Now more than ever, teachers are viewed by some members of our society as suspect, and so we need representation to protect us from the absurd claims questioning our professionalism. Plus, we're teachers. We always want to do a good job. We essentially spend a huge portion of our lives working for free. For years, I have been a counter of cars in the teacher parking lot. Most of the time, I count at least 10 to 15 cars an hour before our contracted time and an hour after. To do the job right, we all have to work for free. And without the union going to bat for us, we would have no means to say no to the impossible amount of work the district demands of us. Our union makes sure that a teacher does have the recourse to choose to go home and leave the papers to grade behind. In a time of so much teacher burnout, that's essential to the survival of public education.
Welcome back to PCTA's FYRE Podcast. As always, I am your lovable and sane, not insane host, Brennan Pickett. I am the FEA Director and Co-Chair of the FYRE Committee. And with me is my best friend, my comrade in arms, all the good things in the world. Go ahead, my man.
Philip Belcastro. I have no exaltations.
He's also a co-chair. Don't forget that.
That is true. I am also here for that.
We are here for FYRE. Always FYRE.
Yeah.
With a Y, not an I. But today, we have two special guests, first-timers on the pod. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Well, I am the utterly insane first-year teacher, Mr. Aziz, or you can call me Ramsey, since we're here on the podcast and not in the classroom. First-year teacher here at St. Pete High, graduated from college. A month later, got a job here. It's been great. I've been loving it every day, especially since working with these guys, especially.
What do you teach?
I teach AP Psychology. I teach AP European History. I teach Anthropology Honors as well as Humanities Honors.
That's a lot of preps, my man.
Sure I'll be honest with you, those last two classes, you should put an asterisk around them. But we'll get to that later.
And then also...
Hi, I am Mr. D'Alessandro, or Joseph D'Alessandro, but most people call me Joey, my nickname. So I am a marine science and anatomy physiology teacher here, and this is my third year teaching, but it's actually my fifth year at this school.
Because you do another job here.
I do another job here. I am also the school's athletic trainer. So after school every day, I am here helping with the athletes, making sure they get everything that they need taken care of, whether it's for taping, rehab, pretty much anything that they need that is under the guise of health.
He's a real busybody. Sometimes he gets to do his laundry here, too.
Not anymore. I moved.
Oh, that's
so
right.
now I actually have laundry there at my new place. But at least according to Phil, he once called me the ghost of St. Pete High because apparently we're haunted, or the school is haunted, but it's not actually haunted by a ghost. It's just me here late at night.
Yeah. When I first heard about you, Joey, I heard that you lived in the walls of the school, so that's why I thought the rumor was true.
Only on the weekends.
Only on the weekends.
It takes most new teachers to figure out that teacher, coach, trainer, Joey are all the same one person. So.
It's actually his full name.
Yeah.
We always ask the question, who coaches the coachman?
Yes, exactly.
So we are here today to talk about a topic that comes up quite often, actually, especially in the union, especially in the news, especially if you're just talking to anyone you know is in education, and that is what is driving the teacher shortage. And we have a rule today. We can't talk about pay because, boy, is this layered. And if you're listening to our last episode, we even mentioned how it's very nuanced, other than the things that Ron DeSantis has mentioned. But also, it is not just pay. I want to make that very clear today, because teachers have a history of being underpaid, right? So what is making it so much worse? So we're going to do a roundtable discussion and talk about our top threes. Mr. D'Alessandro, you want to get started maybe?
Yeah, so my first thing that I kind of wrote down a few things on my phone. So one thing is oversight. Now, I don't think that's something necessarily that is bad here personally, but I remember Phil earlier was talking about how he saw or he's heard that there's been a lot of things where teachers get, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a lot of overbearing administrators that get pretty much, in lack of a better term, in their business to make sure they have lesson plans and a bunch of other things that it's very difficult for them to actually do their job, and it's a lot of stress. So it doesn't really happen here as much. Our administration, I think, is fantastic. But I can see that stuff like that is really, really difficult.
It really depends which school you're at, for sure. It's not just it's not a district problem. Some schools are better than others, obviously, but yeah, there are plenty of schools in this district, and we know teachers in this district who have overbearing principals who are constantly in their face, in their lesson plans, putting them on success plans, right? That overbearingness that happens here is not good for teacher climate. What else do you have in there?
I have the one taboo word, so I'm going to skip over that one.
Okay, can't say pay.
That didn't take long at all.
Didn't take long.
Then the next one is conditions. I know it. I think last year was like in Bell Building. It was apparently, I wasn't here when it was built, obviously, but Bell Building here. I remember one of the first days back from, I think it was last year, back from summer. I walk in, going up to my room, and I hear water. I'm like, what is that sound? What is this water? Why is it feeling like there's a waterfall in the building? And I kind of like peek my head around a corner, peek my head inside of a door, and there's literally water from a busted pipe falling onto the ground, and with just a trash can there. So that's just like one thing I specifically remember about conditions. But there's just other things where
that was like before the renovations, though.
That was before the Bell Building
And after.
Yeah, Bell Building has problems, but that was the waterfall, because I remember seeing videos of it. It was specifically before the renovations, though, right?
Yeah. And it was that's one of our
it's better.
newer,
it's still not great.
Newer buildings.
Yeah, it is a new. It's funny how the 100-year-old building, the main building, is like pretty rad. Bell Building, which is from the 70s, I think.
Yeah.
Where's that?
No, it was built in the 90s, I think, or 80s.
so more.
It's not good.
It's newer, and it's like completely falling apart.
Oh yeah, it's horrible. But under conditions, I would even put things like just basic supplies. Like a lot of times, it comes into us to get these basic supplies for. Now we do get lead money before the students, but like I have daily, all the time. Like, can I get a pencil? Can I get a pen? Can I get paper? And it's not necessarily all these kids' fault that they do that or they need that. But I don't have I feel like that's something that should be provided.
I don't think $300 is going to cut a pencil every single day for some of these kids.
No.
Yeah.
And if I knowing myself back then, I lost my pencil every single period. So I can't really blame them.
Joey's a model student as well.
That is great.
But you mentioned conditions. I'm surprised no one said it yet. AC.
That's been out.
That is not just a St. Pete High problem, by the way. I hear this throughout the district, how AC units are constantly failing. And if you're in a bad portable, like I was 4 years ago, I forget.
That like pretty much comes up at every school board meeting too, is the AC failures at every site.
And it got bad here. I remember when I was in my portable, this is hilarious, right? This is before COVID, this is pre-COVID. Basically, I would have the doors open in the mornings during wintertime because it would be like... it'd be cold outside, so like 50 degrees.
Yeah,
so
like right now, like 50,
I'd open all my
60.
doors, nice and cool. But I tell you right now, after lunch, the kids would come in. My portable would get up to like 85 degrees in the afternoon, and we're sweating bullets. And I'm like, hey guys, let's open the books to Romeo and Juliet, but don't sweat in my books, please. Yeah. It was intense, and I know you had problems this year with AC.
I had a lot of problems. I jokingly with my students, I didn't actually do it, but I was like, if I'm sweating, we're not learning. But we still did stuff, but it's not, if I'm uncomfortable, the students are uncomfortable, it's just not a good learning environment. It's almost like negative to the students because they don't want to be there. They don't want to learn. It's like, can we just go somewhere else? For a while, I was in a different classroom and I had to rearrange all my lessons plans because I was supposed to do dissections at certain times after certain lessons, but I can't because I don't have AC and I don't want people sweating and just being uncomfortable while we're cutting open like mollusks and we're cutting open perches and other things like that.
I just like to think of it like the people who run the maintenance here in Pinellas County, it's kind of like your landlord. Like, hey, my AC's broken. Well, did you vacuum it?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Come on, man.
My toilet has been broken in my own apartment. Like, actually, like the flushing part. I don't know what you call it. So I have to remove the lid every single time. So, like, I'm sure they're working with the same people, the landlords and the county.
Turns out maintenance is your landlord.
Right.
It's like, have you guys
God
heard
help us.
have you guys heard of the conspiracy theory with well, it's not really a conspiracy theory, it kind of got proven, where the McDonald's and their ice cream machines and why they're always broken?
Why is that?
That they're kind of meant to break down, and they have a contract with a specific company that has to come out and fix them.
Yeah.
They can't have a third party come and fix them, and so they're
That's pretty common in like
Industry.
specific industries, yeah. And it's not the same thing, but I feel like it's in line with, this is off topic, but in line with like planned obsolescence. How like exactly, that's what I was thinking. You have to replace your iPhone like every like 3 to 5 years. It's like, just stop working. Why? Just because it's designed that way.
All right, we're getting back into InfoWars. So
Yeah.
you're basically saying the AC man is ruling.
iPhone is an AC.
Okay, I see where this guy's going. All right. Del Castro, give us your top three.
Top three. Well, I will say, I don't like to do the phony baloney sandwich thing where you like say a good thing, all the bad stuff that you really mean, and then good things. I genuinely do have mostly good things to say, and I tell my students, I tell you guys. You all know, and my students know this too, that I've had like a million jobs. Like I've worked in warehouses and kitchens. I was in AmeriCorps, in elementary school classrooms, at a Title I school that had like no books. They just didn't have books. I worked in a hair salon. I've had like a million jobs. This is definitely probably like top three, being a teacher. Still the top three jobs ever. Probably only beneath Record Store, because that place was like a movie. It was like watching like High Fidelity or something. But being a teacher is really rad. I really, really like this job. And a lot of the complaints that come out of teaching generally, like we were talking about, like administration oversight and stuff like that, all the memes that are on like teacher TikTok that people have, I don't think or at least I don't particularly experience here. Because our administrators are pretty cool. Our district is fairly cool. I don't really think we have some of those problems. But ultimately, the things that will more than likely drive me away from teaching is it's not pay alone. It's that it's not keeping up with the costs of living and kind of like the social, emotional, and physical toll that this job takes. Everybody knows we don't leave our work here. My best friend is an ER nurse. He doesn't have to buy his own gloves and prep his own station on his days off. He just goes to work, takes the gloves off, throws them away, and he's done with his job. I have to grade. We all grade on the weekends. We all plan on the weekends. We all have to buy supplies, our own expo markers, our own stuff for the kids. So it's sort of like the cost of the job in all aspects. This is in no particular order as well. I think like the demands of the job, because I know, and I routinely say this, that, if I continue teaching at another school, I know that it's not going to be this one. I mean, there will be those micromanaging administrators. There will be micromanaging department heads and APs, assistant principals, and stuff like that. I said it earlier, a lot of teacher TikTok is, they don't want to pay us, but they let us wear jeans on Friday. We wear like jeans and t-shirt every day.
Yeah.
We're an IB school. We have JROTC. We have, all ACE, right? We have all of these like crown jewel programs. We're like an A+ school. We're doing great. And we let the teachers teach, which is pretty cool.
But this is the interesting thing, I think. Yet teachers are still quitting the school like crazy.
Totally.
And we've had about 10 new teachers this year. Mm-hmm. When I first started here 6 years ago, people have been teaching the school for like decades.
Right.
And now we're recycling teachers like they're used to issue.
And that's kind of like the last thing I was going to say, too. You've mentioned this at the school board meetings, how sometimes it feels like such a revolving door that it's almost you don't even want to learn these people's names because they may be gone within a couple of weeks, which happened this school year already.
Happened yesterday.
And for me, the last thing that I would say, which is probably going to be like, the final thing for me, is not allowing the teachers to teach because of these overbearing programs and data analysis and, essentially making the teacher becoming a facilitator of a program, whether it's a classroom thing like AP or ACE or whatever, or a virtual learning platform. I do not want to be a facilitator of a virtual learning platform.
I'm surprised you haven't said the magic word test yet, because you love tests.
Yeah, can I rescind everything I said and change it to tests, meetings, and trainings? Those are actually my three.
There it is.
Meetings
That's
and
the
trainings.
podcast right now.
Sorry, I've just woke up, guys. You've awakened the beasts. Yes, it's definitely testing, trainings, and meetings.
You're listening to PCTA's FYRE Podcast. In this episode, Joey D'Alessandro and Ramsey Aziz join us to discuss the ongoing teacher shortage and what's driving it. Sit back, relax, and continue to follow along as we delve into this important conversation.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, somebody else, please take
Can
testing.
I comment actually on the take-home thing? I mean, I feel like people don't realize how much emotional stress goes into this job. I mean, obviously, it's like the way I view it is I'm almost, because I started at this school when I was 22, I think, as just the athletic trainer. And a lot of these kids, it's like, I mean, at 22, how grown up were you really? And I have grown up.
Little secret, your co-teacher is 22 years old.
Oh, hi.
I'm the oldest person here right now. I'll be 36
I'm the
in
youngest
April.
person here. Yeah.
Yeah, but I essentially, some of these kids, I feel like I almost kind of grew up, or as I'm growing up, they're growing up too. And so just naturally you begin to care about these kids. And I say this all the time in my head. It's like teaching is you have to care a lot and not care at the same time, because sometimes there's things really out of your control that you just can't do anything about.
Yeah.
And you almost have to flip a switch. But at the end of the day, you can't flip that switch.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you can on certain things. And sometimes where things just go wrong, it's like I want to leave, but then I sometimes don't want to leave.
Right.
Because of all of these relationships that I built with these kids and my colleagues. And it's just so difficult just because all this take-home baggage that we have is just...
Right.
I have a rule with my wife where we kind of just stop talking about work, because that does happen to me where I'll go home and I'll keep talking about like my students and like the things that upset me, like the things they do like upset me. Like there's students at a school that you and I know who do things that actually genuinely upset me, because I consider some of these kids like my sons and daughters.
Oh yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like emotional baggage. Right. I carry it. So we have a rule, like we can't talk about school. I'm worse at it than Emily, but I mean,
yeah. I mean, we have it, we've talked about this too, we have it sort of extra bad than a lot of the other subject areas here because we are English teachers. And when we give like memoir assignments or creative writing assignments, we have to sit with this stuff at the kitchen table and read it. And some of it is I mean, we are mandated reporters. I've definitely pulled out my mandated reporter hat and be like, somebody else needs to look at this, because I mean, they just don't have an outlet other than mine and yours classroom. So some of this stuff is absolutely vicarious trauma, 100%. You're reading about these kids that you care about, and you're like, oh, I gotta close the laptop for a few hours and just step away. So.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Aziz, what's your top three there, bud?
Well, for me, here's the thing. I don't have as much experience as you guys. You guys have been here for significantly longer than I have, and I'm kind of just new into the career. I became a teacher a month into the school year. The teacher that was teaching these my students, for whatever reason, whatever the reasons were, quit. They got another person who had previously retired. They quit after like a week. And then I kind of just showed up in the perfect, time period to just come in and to take control of the reins and do this. And every moment of it, I've been so like, just grateful for just even being here. You know, that's where I'm coming from, where it's like I know so many of my, you know, contemporaries who graduated in my class who still don't have jobs, who are working at Publix or working at, you know, the record shop or just doing their little Uber Eats. I've one of my best friends, he's doing his PhD in psychology and he's doing Uber Eats while he does his PhD. So it's like, in comparison, it's like, I'm actually, you know, I'm starting this career and whatnot. I'm already on like this path. So that's why I feel like, you know, I couldn't complain, or I don't feel like I have the right to complain like you guys.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So you're doing something that's very difficult, by the way. You're starting in the middle of a school year, right? I did the same thing when I first started.
Yeah.
And I just know where I was that time because I didn't have any friends, right? And I realized that I was on my own, and if it wasn't for a particular teacher I made friends with at this school, I feel like I might not have made it. When you first started at school, I know me, Bill Castro, right? We tried to, like, you know, take you under our wing immediately.
Yeah.
If you feel like that support system wasn't here when you first started, do you think you would have made it very long?
Oh, no, definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
I would have definitely been gone, or I would have, you know, lost my job, or would have just, I would not be the type of teacher that I am right now. Because, you know, I didn't really have any real support. I was kind of thrown into the classroom, and they said, figure it out. I came in,
which is very common, by the way.
Came in day one with my dress pants,
started me.
my dress shirt, my tie. I looked like a clown in front of the other students.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I know. And they were like, who the hell is this guy? And, you know, I had to convince them that I'm the new guy. I'm the new teacher. Now, here we are. We're doing lectures. You're taking notes. I'm not giving you a packet to work on for the whole period. No, we're actually going to do real learning. We're not going to do the Mickey Mouse learning, as I like to call it. But because I had this support system that we developed, you know, with you two, with all the other co-teachers who, like, you know, I've been able to develop a relationship with, you know, I have been able to figure out, because there was times when I was starting, like that first month or two, like probably up until November, where I was staying here till 6 o'clock, planning material and trying to just figure out what it is, if I'm doing things correctly, if I'm not.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've had my first observation, and I got like innovating for some of them, and I've got like applying. I basically got like,
which is impressive.
Like,
it is impressive.
Yeah. Innovating is as high as you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because of that, I feel like if it wasn't for the support system, like first, like ensuring that, like, you know, I was doing the right thing and getting guidance from you guys, I probably would not have gotten that type of score. And because of that, I feel like I've been lucky. But we have our, you know, the other teacher who recently quit, you know, and I think about in their position. You know, for me, I'm a young individual with no real responsibilities other than my job and my rent, really. I sold my car just so I wouldn't have to have that responsibility anymore. And because of that, you know, I can take a little bit more of the drama, you know, the emotional drama and whatnot. I relate with the kids a lot because only 4 years older than some of them.
And so I guess what I'm kind of getting at, because your story is very compelling, I think, it's the idea that you're lucky in a sense, because not every teacher has support. And this is driving him out. That new teacher you mentioned who just quit, I think, because we did reach out to him, he also felt like he wasn't very supported, right? Not from his peers, not from his. I mean, and that's a shame. It's a shame.
It's a shame.
And unfortunately, here's the other big problem: is the Bel Castros, the me, right? The other teachers who are here trying to support teachers like you. We can't get to every single room, to every single teacher.
And not every site has those types of people either. I mean, similar to you, I started in the middle of the pandemic. Same thing, here's the keys to the room, figure it out, right? And had you not been already working here, because I've mentioned this at union meetings and stuff before, but me and Pickett know each other.
And went to school together.
We went to school each other, but that's how we know each other. And we were kind of like acquaintances in the same program. But when I first started, he was like, do you teach at St. Pete High now? And I was like, yeah, like not even knowing where this is going. He's like, yeah, your classroom's right next door to mine. So that was kind of how what we're doing right now started. And I have routinely said that had that not been the case, I probably would have dropped my keys off in the front office and said, nope, not for me.
So here's the thing. how can people fix this? Because right now we're talking about how our school's working because we have great teachers who want to make it work, right? That's what's happening here. But really, if we're looking realistically, that's not a real plan for actual schools. You can't just rely on your workers to make it, suitable for other workers. You have to, get better workers, support each other. No, it comes from the top, right? It comes from how things are ran first, and that's how you make an actual environment that people want to work in, right?
That's the thing. Like, from my experience, if it wasn't for you guys and for the support system that I had developed, I would not be here. And so the first thing that I have to say is that for new teachers or teachers who are just entering the career or individuals who are coming from another career and just entering the career, there has to be better support.
And we're just scratching the surface here because there's still, like Bellcaster said, there's still testing, there's still meetings, there's still professional developments, professional developments that aren't any use to us, by the way. Like they're meaningless. There is such thing as real professional development.
Right. That's why I'm always hesitant because
you guys go to meetings.
Yeah,
I haven't been invited to one yet, so I don't know.
Well, they still don't know I work here. So you've mentioned before, like trainings and professional, which is how like a normal job operates. Like you're not going to go work at like a Domino's and they're like, well, you know what a pizza looks like, just figure it out. Like there's like a week of this is how you make pizza or whatever.
Exactly.
There's no such thing here. Like there is a thing, but like it's so like backburnered.
Nor at any school do I know of anything like this where they actually orient teachers into
right. We have Embrace Pinellas, which is like I guess it is categorically training, but everybody told me because, we need a professional license also. We need a real certification that you have to take real college classes for and go through the real state's department to get. So Embrace Pinellas is like what you would call like Mickey Mouse training, where it's like, oh, this is how you do group work or whatever. And I guess for me, I'm particularly salty and sour on those things because I have done so much work with nonprofit and so much work with kids and so much of all of these things. Like I feel like a lot of this stuff is just kind of my base anyway. So for people to come in and tell me like how to do this stuff and how to build a rapport with students is like, really, you're going to waste my time with this? Like a lot of it is just a waste of time.
It is, and it's kind of upsetting because we don't have a lot of time. And I think Joey knows a lot about this as well. It's just never having any time for yourself almost because he lives here basically.
This is the first time we've seen Joey all year.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
My days are very, very, very long. Do you want me to get into how they are?
Go for it. Give us a normal day for Joey.
So normal day is, I really care about fitness. I'd love to eat, so I don't look like the fittest person in the world, but I've been working out for probably ever since I graduated undergrad, almost every single day. So I wake up in the morning about 4:45. I get to the gym probably around 5:15ish a.m., lift, go straight from essentially the gym to the school. I get here probably about 6:30, 6:45. That's when I get all my printing done, set up the classroom, all that good jazz, go through all the different go through the school day. It ends at 1:55, around 2:15, 2:30. I'm down at whatever practices are going on. And then on a day where there's no games, I'm here till about 6:30. And the days that there are games, like tonight, I'm going to probably be here till about 9:30, 10, depending on how quickly the game goes. It's basketball, so if there's a lot of fouls, it goes to overtime, who knows? There's been times where I've gotten back during football season at 1 a.m. It just kind of depends on the day. And this is just for me to have a decent living, because I do get paid extra for it, but it's...
Do you feel like you're fairly compensated for all this?
No, not at all. Not for the
amount of hours.
The hours that I put in to this school.
You do weekends sometimes too, don't you?
Yep, depending on if sometimes there's makeup stuff. There's been times where football games get rained out. I'll have to work that Friday night and then into that next Saturday because they have to make up the football game. Sometimes there's track on the weekends. And just to keep essentially living the way I personally like to live, I do per diem work on the weekends as well. That's outside of school.
And that's ridiculous because let's make sure all the listeners understand this. Joey is a highly qualified teacher. He has a master's degree. Can you go into your education for a second?
So I got my bachelor's of athletic training at Florida Southern, and then I got my master's in athletic training but pediatric sports medicine at USF, and then I finally finished all my classes that I need to. So I got my 5-year professional certificate. So I've been around the block when it comes to education.
This is an individual that the governor would like to replace with the spouse of a veteran.
Right. And this man, he's teaching anatomy now, which the kids they should be grateful for that. They need a person like him teaching anatomy.
And the kids do love you.
And they love him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just kind of crazy because I don't want to say it's just to pay, right? But it's also like, are you being fairly paid for your time? You know, are you actually getting your worth out of your time? And that's what I'm getting at with like meetings and then all the testing and then all the PDs. Like, do we get fairly compensated as well? So it seems like we're being overwhelmed. It seems like we're not being fairly compensated. It seems like you're not being supported in any way. And really, at the end of the day, when you add all these ingredients together, is it really the bottom line, our salary?
I don't think anyone really comes in to teach for the salary. I think it's the passion for teaching. Like, that's not why. Like, I graduated with a degree in political science and philosophy from Florida International University. Yeah, I could have gone to law school. Yeah, I could have gone straight to a master's or PhD program. But I do have a passion for teaching, and that's why I came into this career, because I wanted to teach people. You know, in college, I was already tutoring and doing it on the side, but that doesn't pay enough. Like, our poor tutors, we don't talk about them, but they exist and they're suffering out there trying. And we can't forget, there's also the cultural aspect of what it's like to be a teacher today. In the state of Florida especially, we're getting attacked left, right, center by everyone, by parents, by students, by the governor, by administrators in some school. It's uncomfortable to be a teacher in some instances.
And it's hard to teach when you know that the political climate's against you.
Yeah, and if people hate you,
it's
just
really
because your career.
I mean, like I said, I've had a million jobs. I've never clocked into Publix and had to defend my right and proficiency at making sandwiches.
I tended bar. I never had to defend my right to make drinks.
Yeah, it's really weird that this is, out of all the jobs I've ever had, this is the one I have to constantly keep defending that it should exist.
So we're going to take a break. And when we get back, we're going to begin our Based Awards.
Based.
Stick around. Hey guys, how's it going? It's Brendan Pickett here with an exciting opportunity for all our listeners to get involved. As teachers, we want to hear from you and your experiences in the classroom. Record a voice clip saying your name, your experience as a teacher, and why you love PCTA. Share with us the impact PCTA has had on your career and how it has supported you in your journey as an educator. Your stories can inspire others and showcase the power of unity in the teaching community. Cool rhyme, right? But that's not all. We want everyone to have a chance to make a difference for our public education system. Write to your legislator and have your voice heard. You can find out who your representative is at www.myfloridahouse.gov/find your representative. Your opinions and experiences matter, and together we can create positive change for the future of education in the state of Florida. So, what are you waiting for? Grab your phone and record a voice clip today. Share your love for PCTA, our union, and be a part of shaping the future of education. Submit your voice clips to PCTA FYRE, that's FYRE pod @gmail.com. We can't wait to hear from you. And we're back. So we're going to start doing our Based Awards for the week, which for everyone who's listening, I'm going to explain it, but I'm going to let Mr. Aziz explain it since he's our resident Gen Zer.
I don't know if you want me to explain it, but I will. I will explain it, for all the millennials and the boomers and the Gen Xers out there who do not know what based means. It's a little bit of internet lingo, but basically it's either something that is agreeable, like you say something and you're like, oh yeah, I agree to that. That's pretty based. Or something that is so shocking and insane that it's respectable. You see some phenomenon take place that shocks you, makes you jump out of your chair, your soul comes out of your body because of said phenomenon. Now that's pretty based.
So if you guys listen to the NPR Politics podcast like I do, and I'm just going to say I ripped them off. They do a thing called Can't Let It Go, and this is what we're doing essentially. We're talking about something we have done throughout the week that we can't let go. Politics, union, news, school, anything that you can't let go. Just talk about it. And we're using the cool hip lingo because we just love Aziz
We're
so
actually
much.
just trying to kill Gen Z lingo.
Yeah.
No.
This is lit.
I'm the one indoctrinating all the
You
teachers to
are
use this terminology.
Are you bussing right now?
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. Are you
Fire?
All right. So moving around. Actually, I think I'm gonna give you the honor, sir. What is your based award for the week?
So it was pretty based what happened to me in my classroom. So in my 7th period AP Psych class, that class is full of IB kids and just super intellectual students. Some of my, as I call them, proteges who, follow in reading philosophy and actually are intellectuals. They're in that class. So sometimes they can be a little unruly because they're like, oh, we're so smart and superior. We don't want to behave. We don't want to listen to a lecture. Let us have a mental health day. But basically what happened is I have this old spinny chair, wooden chair, and sometimes I like to stand on chairs or desks to get the kids' attention just so they can focus on me for a second by doing my outlandishly things, by standing on chairs or walking on desk or whatever.
Oh, no, you're not. You're standing on desks.
Yeah, I'm standing on desk. Yeah, it works though because they're like, what is this guy doing?
This guy's crazy.
This guy's crazy.
Whoa,
He's
totally
losing his
Dead
mind.
Poet Society.
Yeah. So basically what happened was I was trying to get them to focus. And so I was stepping on this chair, on this spinning old chair that I have. And it's wooden chair, whatever. And I was as one would say, Gopnik squatting in a particular sort of way. I was squatting on the chair, and what ended up happening was I fell back, I fell over, and it was all in slow motion where I fell back and I hit my back, I hit my head, and was just lying there for a second. I was totally fine.
Then he was unconscious for at least 3 hours.
This is not a workman's comp claim.
This is not a workman's
Coach
comp.
Joey, do you need to inspect him?
I'll do a quick concussion eval.
Yeah.
No, it's totally fine. But it all happened in slow motion because I was in the middle of saying something, and then I was just falling back, and I was like, oh no. And I fell back, and everyone just shrieked, and they ran over, and they're like, Mr. Aziz, were you okay? And I was just lying there laughing phenomenally because it was just absolutely funny. The kids, they got spooked, but then they came over and they were like, oh, you're fine? And I was like, yes, I'm fine, guys. I'm not an old individual. My back didn't break. Don't worry. I'm okay.
Then he dissed every old teacher at St. Pete High.
I apologize to every old teacher at St. Pete High.
Aziz is 4 years older than our oldest student here. So
I was actually
basically
joking about this. My first year teaching, I could have theoretically taught Ramsey Aziz because I did teach 17, 18-year-olds.
Oh my goodness.
What was it, 2017?
Yeah, I was still in high school in 2017. That's kind of crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
But yet they'll still tell us when we have issues. They're like, "Oh, you guys are still young." I'll be 36 in April. I don't know how much longer that argument's going to hold up.
Soon we had to retire him from FYRE.
Yeah, right. Florida's oldest, youngest educator.
Coach or teacher, trainer, Joey? What's your real based award, sir?
My based award is actually to a couple of my students that I have that I see in the morning at 5 a.m. at the gym. I do not know how they do it because I sometimes have a lot of trouble doing it, and I'm a full-grown adult. I know I did not have the discipline to do that when I was 14 through 18. I could not do it at all.
Slam on pizza.
I still can't do it. So
but
I
seeing
refuse.
them there is awesome, and one of them is actually in my first period, and it's an interesting conversation that we have every day. It's oh, what did we work out that day? How was it? It's nice to see them there and actually caring about their health and fitness, especially since most of my education was all about health.
Nice.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm going to give mine. So last Friday, I had a restorative conversation of all my classes about how I feel like they're not really giving me a 100%. And it was actually upsetting me. We talked a lot about emotional baggage today as well. I was feeling emotionally drained because I feel like I come into school. By the way, if everyone knows, I do come here every day at 6 a.m., an hour before contract. And I grade papers. I'm a crazy person. I haven't missed a beat either. I've done it every single day since the school year started. I'm going to do it all. I'm going to finish the year doing this because I'm crazy. But anyway, that's beyond the point. The point I was trying to make to all my students is hey guys, I'm giving 100%. Why can't you, right? And we had this really great conversation. I asked him for suggestions. We had a feedback session. It was a good time. I think it ended like really good conversations. Anyway, I took 2 days off after that. So I had Monday and Tuesday off because I was in Paso Grill with my wife having a great time. And my wonderful colleague started spreading rumors that I had put my 2 weeks in and shaved my head. You're welcome. So I started getting emails from my students saying, Mr. Pickett, just so you know, we think you're a great teacher and we're sorry. And, you know, you can't quit. You're great. We love you. And I'm like, oh, my God.
The apology tour, yeah.
Yeah, I kept telling him, like, I'm not fishing for compliments, guys. Can you just, like, care a little bit? Just give that a shot. Just care. Just try caring, please.
Yeah, I had a couple of your students who we share come up to me, and they were really panicked because they wanted to make sure that you were okay and that you weren't leaving. And I was just like, no, he's quitting.
I
my man's is gone.
Fueled that fire.
I did too.
I made
We
sure
all
they
did.
knew you were
We
quitting.
started the
He
rumor.
is. He told me.
One of the students came in who left your class and is now in my class. Was like, did Mr. Pickett really quit? I was like, oh, absolutely, 100%. And it's your fault. You did it to him. Jesus. So they were actually frightened for a while.
Yeah, well, it's nice getting compliments, but for the wrong reason, I guess.
Okay, I guess my based award is not that based. This is kind of a weak one, but it happened earlier, and it's just kind of like a third hand based award, if that makes any sense. But I was talking to one of my students, one of my TAs, about going to the gym. And they were asking why I shaved my head. I said, well, I'm trying to get into shape. And actually, no, we were talking about BMI. That's how we got there. So we were talking about how weight and height is not a good way to measure BMI. It doesn't account for like bone density and muscle mass and all that stuff. Coach Joey can correct me if I'm wrong. But there's also like Army style where what we did in our classroom where you like measure your neck and your waist and all that. And that's like a little bit more accurate and how... Anyway, we were talking about that, and because I mentioned this Army-style BMI, the TA was like, are you really trying to join Space Force? And the story is that this started as a joke with one of my students, and we looked it up in front of the class, put it on the screen, that the age limit for joining Space Force is 39. So I'm still within the limits. And I was like, guys, I'm joining Space Force. I'm going to do it. And it's like almost not even a joke at this point because like many teachers,
it's not a bit.
I'm always looking at, other opportunities and, like military benefits. If I can, join as a lieutenant with my college degree, it's like kind of looking pretty attractive. So the rumor going around the school is that Belcastro is quitting and joining the Space Force, which is like maybe like a half truth. But the based part is that this TA told me, said, yeah, we told Mr. Bryant that you're Lee Bryant, who did our intro of our previous episode. We told Mr. Bryant that you're quitting to join the Space Force. And he goes, I'm not surprised. So the best part is
Great
that
impression.
nobody is shocked that I want to quit teaching and join the Space Force.
I'm currently training him so that way he's fit enough to join the Space Force.
Yeah. Well, I am technically a little too short to be a stormtrooper, much like Luke Skywalker.
They're going to send you to Uranus.
They do have plastic weighted swords at Crunch Fitness.
Are they lightsabers?
They do.
Where?
Whoa.
Do you know where the massage beds are on the side? You walk in, they're to your right. They have
Swords?
2 black weighted plastic swords.
Can I just walk around the gym?
Guns don't work in space, so you're gonna have to use swords.
Well, can I bring my own lightsaber? Because maybe I have a couple.
We have a new type of training at Crunch today.
We don't have the technology yet.
We don't have the technology. Yeah, so that's my based award is that Lee Bryant is not surprised that I want to quit teaching and join the Space Force.
Jeez. Well, I guess that's all we have for today. We're going to sign off. A friendly reminder that there are 2 school board meetings coming up this month. Mark your calendars for February 14th at 10 a.m. and February 28th at 5 p.m. These meetings are a great opportunity to stay informed and stay involved in the education system, so don't miss out. A special thank you to our dedicated team who made this podcast possible. A big round of applause for Dr. Anna Margiota for transcribing this episode with such care and attention to detail. A huge thank you to Philip Belcastro for the amazing podcast theme that sets the tone for each episode. And last but not least, a heartfelt gratitude for Jamie Beck, Carla Correa, and Nancy Velarde for their invaluable contributions to the success of this show. Thank you all for your hard work and dedication. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in for another episode of PCTA's FYRE Podcast. I'm Brendan Pickett. Have a great day.